Hi everybody, welcome to Right to the Top. I'm Adam. In today's practicum, we're going to look again at the do's and don'ts. And again, I'm going to talk to you about particular expressions, okay? So we're going to look at the expressions in contrast and on the contrary. Now, the general don't that you have to think about here is confused expressions. Make sure that when you're going to use an expression, you don't confuse it with any other expression. Don't mix the prepositions and don't mix the actual wordings because they each have a very specific function and a specific meaning. So for example, contrast and contrary are not the same words. In contrast and on the contrary are not the same expression. You can't use them in the same way. They have very specific functions as I'm about to show you now, okay? So first of all, let's look at what the actual difference is. Contrast, when you're talking about a contrast, you're just showing a difference between things or people or places. So generally, you're going to be talking about subjects and or objects. You're going to be comparing them. What is different between these things or places or things? So in contrast, you're introducing a different approach, a different result, a different view, etc. Contrary basically means opposite, like direct opposite. Not just different, opposite. Okay? On the contrary, directly opposes the previous sentence's claim. So what you're actually looking at is the verb or the situation. And again, I'm going to give you an example to show you what I mean here. But it's a very direct opposite of what came before and what comes after the expression on the contrary. Obviously, in versus on, article, no article. Make sure you know the actual expression. I've seen many people say, in contrary, on the contrast, okay? Don't mix these two up, then the grader knows you just don't understand these expressions at all. Now, we're going to look at vegetarian versus vegan. Now, I'm not sure if all of you know the difference. A vegetarian doesn't eat meat, but does eat cheese, eggs, etc., animal products. Vegans, no animal products, which I will make clear in these example sentences. Vegetarians do not eat meat products such as beef, poultry, or pork. In contrast, vegans do not consume any animal products including dairy, eggs, and fish. Now, am I showing you the opposite? The opposite of do not eat meat is do eat meat. So vegans, I'm not showing you an opposite. I'm showing you extra, right? A difference. So they don't eat meat and they don't eat animal products. So I'm not giving you an opposite. Many people think that vegetarians do not eat any animal products. Do not eat any animal products. On the contrary, so no, actually the opposite is true. They eat eggs and cheese, which are animal products, but refrain from eating meat directly. In contrast, vegans will not even drink milk or eat canned tuna. Now this, in contrast, you have to be careful. It doesn't go with the do not eat any animal products. It goes with refrain from eating meat directly. Another thing to remember about the expression, it goes directly with what idea came right before it, not what came 2 or 3 lines before it. So you have to be careful about placement as well, okay? Now, if you're not sure about which one to use in contrast or on the contrary, use alternatives. In fact, the fact is actually the opposite is true. This is not the case, often with a semicolon, okay? Many people think that vegans must be undernourished. They don't have enough nutrients because they do not consume enough protein. So they don't eat meat, they don't get protein, they must be really skinny and unhealthy. The opposite is true. Or, on the contrary, vegans can also be, but, or if you don't want to use on the contrary, use the opposite is true. Notice I'm putting a semicolon because I'm about to start a new sentence, but they are directly linked. A vegan can be just as healthy as any carnivore. A carnivore is a meat eater who looks after his or her diet. Enough protein. Now, I would probably, instead of the period here, I would put the semicolon and say, in fact, and again, the 2 sentences are directly connected, so I'm separating by a semicolon. In fact, a vegan can be just as healthy. or period after protein. This is simply not the case. And again, a semicolon because I'm about to explain. You can also put a colon there if you want. A vegan can be just as healthy. So again, lots of alternatives, but if you're not sure, don't use an expression. If you are going to use an expression, use it correctly and don't mix with any other expressions, okay? That's basically it, very quick and simple. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Come back next week for more detailed, focused looks at different parts of the language. Don't forget, you can ask questions in the YouTube comment section. Lots of good stuff coming, okay? See you. Bye-bye.